looks like we got some major events coming up here, but maybe it will turn out to be nothing. But it does portend what's going to come out in the future, even if this blows over right now, which is the crisis in the Ukraine. Because I talked about silver prices in a time of warfare, possibly with. Well, I always said if there's a war with Iran, I don't think it's going to be extremely long because basically it's a no contest event. It would be, even though no matter what war happens, it's always bad. There's always bloodshed. There's always real freaking hard human suffering to the max. The American, if the United States was backing Israel or whatever, or if there was something that went on with Iran, it would be over pretty quick. It would be. And oil prices would skyrocket, gold would skyrocket, silver would skyrocket. But long term, I always think that, what's going to happen in the long term, and I think the Russians are biding their time on this, which is a financial collapse in the West. And I've said this. This is theory by Major Anatoly Golitsyn, but his theories have always been right. The thing is, you look at people's other theories, and they've been wrong, and they've been sometimes right, 50% here and there. Major Anatoly Golitsyn, who defected in 1961, this guy's been right like at least 95% of the time, at least. And it says the long-range plan is for deception to bring Western technology into the West, into the Soviet Union. That's why it dissolved and all this type of stuff. They're biding their time. They're waiting for financial collapse in the West, and then they will attack. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Actually, even without a war, there's always these kind of intramural wars going on economically. There always is. It's like wars are basically an extension of political economic policy. You can sit back and theorize it, but that's really what the hell it is. It's like, either a war is a big business trying to get some more money some way, and it isn't just the West that does this. It's everywhere. Everywhere. It's like I don't like these people who just throw the dirt at the West and they don't throw the dirt everywhere else it deserves, because it's the elitists and the power-hungry freaks everywhere that do this. Everywhere. It's like you're knocking the United States. It's the elitists, the United States are the only ones that do this type of stuff. Look at Vladimir Putin and his lifestyle. Look at the Chinese elite, for crying out loud. It's obvious, right? Now, what's going on in Ukraine? The leader that was just ousted. I forgot his name. Okay, but I don't really like paying attention to those names because they're whatever. But I did. His wealth was obvious. His house, his cars, the decor he had, his special yacht, his golf courses, all the garbage this guy had. It was like he was an elitist to the max, and he was a puppet of Putin. Putin is like saying, "Oh yeah, we got to have the Ukraine because this is right on the Russian border and all this type of stuff." The Ukrainian people are looking for freedom. They're not looking for a freaking puppet of Putin. And this guy, for all the opulence this guy had, the guy was a freaking dictator who ran. He was an elitist dictator that ran the Ukraine, and he got ousted. This is the guy that Putin wants in there. Putin is the same kind of crap to Russia. He plays the game that he's a reformer. He's not a reformer. It's a big freaking dog and pony act where he plays like, oh yeah, he's reforming. He's trying to go against the bad guys, and he's one of the kingpins of the freaking operation himself. But, I almost hate to say this, but if there's going to be a war with Russia, I'd rather see it now than later, because I'd rather see it now when the U.S. is financially, I know they say there's financial problems, but if there's a freaking collapse in the markets or something like that, and there's a currency collapse, and they backed off a lot on the armed forces. In the meantime, the Russian and Chinese armed forces are being built up. I'd rather see it now than later. Actually, I would have rather seen it happen some years ago, because the situation would have been solved. But the problem always is this. I'm going to tell you this right now. The Western elite, certain Western elite, because they don't all think the same, have always been the major driving force behind communism, because communism is a major type of step towards world domination, globalism. That's really what it is. Maybe Karl Marx wasn't the worst guy in the world, right? But they took his writings it doesn't work in a practical fashion, a lot of things he says, but they took his writings and they used it to make an evil political system. I mean, there's a couple of little things in there where you might say there's some truth to it, like about capitalism. But you got to remember, there's capitalism when you're talking individuals, laissez-faire capitalism, and there's big business capitalism, which is basically like a monopoly, and they don't like competition. So I mean, there's all kinds of ways you could throw these damn words around. But if there's ever a war, I'm going to tell you right now, commodity prices are going to go through the roof. Gold will go through the roof. Gold is always a safety in wartime. Definitely. Silver is going to follow. Oil's going to go through the freaking roof. Agricultural products, food, livestock, everything is going to go absolutely high. And, the thing is not to just sit on your ass and be like, hey, I got silver. Also, work hard and be very practical where you put your money. I got I got enough funds, obviously, to do every damn thing I want, but I have too much pride in that I do not like paying people to do the work for me. I'd rather know how to do it myself, because it's like, if I pay somebody else to do the damn work for me, then I don't know how to fix it or do it or redo it or whatever. So I do every damn thing myself. That's the way it is. That's, you got to play the game all the way, I have a lot of projects going on at once, and I'm going to tell you, that is what you really need to do. You need to be self-sufficient, and that's one reason you have silver. It's called self-sufficiency. Self-sufficiency, but it absolutely means not just one metal. It means a whole bunch of things. Number one you need is food, water, and energy, and you also need guns to protect yourself, because if it becomes a lawless society. But by and large, I think Americans will stick together. Very much so. I know there's a lot of disparity of race, creed, and religion and all this type of stuff, but you know what? And there's like a lot of disparity between where you come from in the United States. Some people, well, I don't like a lot of the North. Well, you'd be surprised. I come from the Northeast, and I think that's a very liberal place. I'm not a really liberal, and you'll be surprised. There's like the people that aren't liberals in it. Well, I'm more an individual rightist, let me put it that way, because I don't really think liberal's a dirty word. But, it's like the people even in the Northeast are mainly the ones that aren't like real socialistic. Man, they're really like really anti-socialistic like myself, because I really think socialism is a major evil. Sometimes people from other parts of the country assume if you're originally from the Northeast, you're socialistic. That's not true. But anyway, it looks like Putin is going to push hard. He's got all the troops massed around the border. He's doing all the exercises and stuff like that. It's a big show of force. But that's telling you what this guy's about. I'm getting sick of this freaking alternative. I'm getting even tired of these people. Well, I'm not getting tired of it, but it's showing how stupid these people are. Where the alternative media is coming out, quote unquote, about, the West is this, the West is that. Look at this guy, Putin. This guy's a freaking dictator and a half, man. No doubt about it. No doubt about it. And, let me put it this way. I'll tell you some people I don't really like in politics. I don't like Joe Biden. I don't like Chuck Schumer. I don't like Mario Cuomo. I don't like Hillary Clinton. I don't like John Kerry. But you know what? I'll back them 110% over Vladimir Putin any freaking day. Because this guy is a pile of bullshit. He's like, the one thing is, I'll tell you why he's a pile of bullshit. Because he's a big photo op guy. He's like, he goes out there with the horseback riding. Hey, takes a picture. Look at me. I'm a big leader. I ride a horse. And, I shoot a tiger with a tranquilizer dart. I go out there and I do, judo. And, obviously, even when he's doing judo, he's doing it with somebody. He's making sure the guy loses. It's not going to be somebody who's going to kick his ass, or else he's be in a gulag for the rest of his life at a minimum. And, it's a big freaking dictatorship to the max, I'd stick with the leaders in my country I don't even like the most before I'd stick with Vladimir Putin. That's a fact. That's a fact, man. A lot of people freaking buy into this guy, but it's a big phony act with Vladimir Putin. I can tell you that right now. That guy is an egotistical dictator to the max. One thing that I recognize with him, though, He's 110%. Even though he's greedy and he wants his own stuff, he's 110% Russian patriot to the max. You know? And he's got the balls to freaking be hands-on and do stuff himself. That I know. That I know. He really is. You see, that's where people get respect for him. But, you know, the problem is, he don't give a shit. He don't give a shit. He's about number one. And, you know, as long as I'm a Westerner, I ain't in nowhere on his, list for anything. You know what I mean? You know, I'm the enemy. That's the way I look at it. You know, he's a guy that just, Russia Today puts out a pile of bullshit about, anti-Western this, anti-elitist this, and all this type of stuff. You know, they're really just looking to tear you down. And once they tear you down, the USA will be a resource if they had their freaking way. And you guys would be a bunch of free labor. The ones that are sitting on your armchair cheering on all this Russia Today bullshit. You'd be a freaking free labor for the Russians. That's what you would be. That's exactly what you would be. But, I'm going to tell you this. Our system isn't about worshiping a freaking leader, Say, for instance, I don't like Hillary Clinton, I really think she's an evil lady, to tell you the truth. I really do. She's probably going to be the next freaking president. I don't like her at all. But, I'm going to tell you this. It's not even that I would back her, per se. But I understand that in the United States, we don't worship a freaking leader. What we do is we stick with our system and our individual rights. Damn it. That's the whole freaking point. It's like my leader's better than your leader. What the hell are you kidding? So I don't know. I digressed a little bit on this. I'm going to get on a couple economic things here because I guess it's a little bit about finance and accounting. But, it looks like we might have some... I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be a big blowover incident with Ukraine. It may be. You never know. But the thing is, it pretends what's going to come for the future, I think, between 2017 and 2020. When we really have the financial collapse. Oh, God, man, it's not going to be cool, man. I don't think it's good. I hope I'm freaking wrong, man. But, I'm going to tell you this. Financial collapse can be averted by hard work and a positive attitude. Keep plugging that way, man. That's all I'm going to say. The other thing is, though, there's been in the markets, too. We looked at the Dow and all the S&P was dropping like this. And all of a sudden, they start recovering. The Dow's over 16,000. It's not looking too bad. But what's interesting? The bond rates spiked over 3% on the 10-year in December 2013. Then the rates went down, and the bonds were going down. And there was a correlation between the bonds and the general equities. Now the correlation's the opposite, which makes you think that possibly the equities are going to will go south, and actually, interest rates really, I don't see how they're going to keep them down. And if they keep doing QE, they're going to actually destroy the currency. They're going to actually destroy the value of the dollar. Now, the way they can actually make the demand for dollar is higher oil prices because oil is traded in dollars. But in that case, it's also going to put a lot of money into the coffers of the Russian Russia's pockets too. I really, I tell you what, I think the elite. There's a lot of various elitists out there because I personally would not be giving technology to Russia or China. Period. Forget about it. It's like they're giving them technology for, building cars like General Motors is doing now with China and stuff like that. And what's going to happen is they're going to use it for military applications, and it's going to be bad news down the road. That's really what's going to happen. I would not give any country American technology unless they had a truly democratic, free type of government. Period. That's all there is to it. And you can say we don't have a democratic type of, let's say a constitutional republic. We don't really have a democracy, right? We do. What the problem is, like I said over and over again, because I started hitting on this point, the people are too lethargic to freaking use the tools to uproot any kind of corruption we have in the United States. The people could do it overnight, easy, without going out in the street and protesting. They could just do it by, demanding the investigations. They could do it by voting out people very easily. They could do it overnight. Yeah, I also want to comment a little bit about bubbles. And one thing is, a lot of people said, you buy silver now, it's like half its value still, even though it went up a little bit from the 18 low. It's 21 something right now, but it was up to 47, 48 before. So if you bought it like, over 45, you're still down over half, which is bad, right? But it's and then they criticize people as being silver pumpers and all this type of stuff. And I'm going to tell you, silver has always been a volatile commodity, big time, right? But it's going to be volatile on the way up. It's going to have a major, 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 huge spike. But I'll give you another example. Actually, the home building market was another area where a lot of people got screwed over big time. And I could say in the state of Florida, like the state of Florida was really, really hot on home building, like during the the real residential and commercial building boom in the early 2000s, all the way up to 2007. And the state of Florida was like basically probably the strongest area in the country for that. And you know what? Now the state of Florida has like some of the biggest areas for highest rates of foreclosures per capita all over the state, whether it's down to Tampa, north central Florida, Orlando area. It doesn't matter. They got foreclosures like crazy. Now I'll never have to worry about that because I've never had a mortgage payment or anything like that in years. I never had any kind of payment in many years. I've been debt free for 17 years. And but I'm smart enough to know, like, a lot of people actually even had the funds to be debt free. What they did was they opted for the highfalutin lifestyle and they got caught in a trap. Big egos, right? Big egos. I can afford that. Oh, look at me. Look what I have. I'm special. No, I don't play that game. But anyway, that's an investment that turned out to be a poor investment, and because they got upside down. You got to really be conservative and a little careful with some things, and that's really where the problem is with a lot of people. They get too speculative. They get too greedy. They see too much money on the potential money, and they screw up. The other thing is, like on the way up with silver, this is actually where people right now are holding it right now, are patient. They're going to do well because people are going to jump on it and have to have it at least even when it goes over 50. There's going to be people like they're going to be jumping on a bandwagon left and right, flying out of the woodwork, having to buy it because the sky's falling. And I expect it's not going to go straight up to some crazy amount of, say if it breaks through 50, it should go quite a bit above 50 to at least 60 something, pretty fast. But the thing is, if it gets ahead of itself too fast, it'll correct again. But it's the same game. That's why people are buying Bitcoin at $400 or $500. Now some of those people on the Mount GOX freaking thing, whatever the hell is Mount Gox, whatever the hell that is, exchange, they lost all their money, right? They lost all their money. So, you got to be patient with your investments. That's one thing. And when this plays out, it's going to play out for the best. But the worst thing I could possibly think of is if there's a major war, because that will soften people up for change. Get rid of all nation states, get rid of this, get rid of everything. We'll have a new law, a new financial system. You know what? I'm sticking with the Bill of Rights no matter what, man. If they violate the Bill of Rights, they ain't a legitimate government. That's all there is to it. No matter what comes in later on. That's the way I look at it. Plain and simple. But it looks like, I'm not 110% sure what's going to come up out of Ukraine. It seems crazy that there'd be some major war over this, but you never know. That's how things start, isn't it? Isn't that how things start? So we shall see. It seems to be that this is the cycle of life, isn't it? When there's a bad economic problems, nations compete with each other by having currency wars, devaluing their currencies and going into more debt, and it leads to real wars. Right now, Russia's having problems actually with their GDP. Is down a lot. So I don't know, man. It's like it is. I just have to freaking say it again, man. Anybody that's in the United States that thinks Vladimir Putin is like this good reformer guy, you better take your head out of the sand and look really deep at what this guy's about and where he came from, and even like the rigged apartment explosions where he even got into power. The apartments that blew up, and he said it was on the Chechen rebels, and then he waged a whole war against them and stuff. It was just like the freaking Reichstag fire that Adolf Hitler did, man. Same type of deal, man. Same type of deal all the way. This guy is bad news. And to me, it's very disheartening that Americans are buying into this bullshit. And there's a load of these freaking alternative media clowns out there. They only throw dirt at the Western elite, and they don't bring up a damn thing on Vladimir Putin at all. Never. Never. I can't call them alternative media. They're one-sided. They're one-sided all the way. They're one-sided all the way. I want to tell you right now, we got a lot of... People throughout the world got a lot of problems with all these freaking elitists. And I tell you what, that guy in Ukraine that got thrown out of power, he was an elitist to the max and a puppet of Putin. So, whatever happens there, I don't know what's going to happen, to tell you the truth, and nobody knows. But it looks like Putin's pissed off. And I'm like, good, you're pissed off, so what? I don't give a shit. The thing is, if they... I don't know. If I was president, I'd be like telling them, screw you. I would. I don't know what this... That's one thing that's bad about having Obama in office, man. Holy shit. That guy is a wimp, man. I don't like that guy. I don't like that guy at all. The problem is, we got a guy in our office who wasn't born in the United States. That's another thing. I don't know where his loyalty is to. Who the hell knows? In his lifestyle, look at the Chinese elite, for crying out loud. It's obvious, right? Now, what's going on in Ukraine? The leader that was just ousted. I forgot his name. Okay, but I don't really like paying attention to those names because they're well, whatever. But I did. His wealth was obvious. His house, his cars, the decor he had, his special yacht, his golf courses, all the garbage this guy had. It was like he was an elitist to the max, and he was a puppet of Putin. Putin is like saying, "Oh yeah, we got to have the Ukraine because this is right on the Russian border and all this type of stuff." The Ukrainian people are looking for freedom. They're not looking for a freaking puppet of Putin. And this guy, gold would skyrocket, silver would skyrocket. But long term, I always think that what's going to happen in the long term, and I think the Russians are biding their time on this, which is a financial collapse in the West. I've said this. This is theory by Major Anatoly Golitsyn, but his theories have always been right. The thing is, you look at people's other theories, and they've been wrong, and they've been sometimes right, 50% here and there. Major Anatoly Golitsyn, who defected in 1961, this guy's been right like at least 95% of the time, at least. And, this is the long-range plan is for deception to bring, Western technology into the West, into the Soviet Union. That's why it dissolved and all this type of stuff. They're biding their time. They're waiting for financial collapse in the West, and then they will attack. Now, I'm going to tell you this. Actually, even without a war, there's always these kind of intramural wars going on economically. There always is. It's like wars are basically an extension of political economic policy. You can sit back and theorize it, but that's really what the hell it is. It's like, either a war is a big business trying to get some more money some way, and it isn't just the West that does this. It's everywhere. It's like I don't like these people that just throw the dirt at the West and they don't throw the dirt everywhere else it deserves, because it's the elitists and the power hungry freaks everywhere that do this. Everywhere. It's like you're knocking the United States. It's the elitist United States are the only ones that do this type of stuff. Look at Vladimir Putin. All the opulence this guy had. The guy was a freaking dictator who ran. He was an elitist dictator that ran the Ukraine, and he got ousted. This is the guy that Putin wants in there. Putin is the same kind of crap to Russia. He plays the game that he's a reformer. He's not a reformer. It's a big freaking dog and pony act, where he plays like, oh yeah, he's reforming, he's trying to go against the bad guys, and he's one of the kingpins of the freaking operation himself. But, I I almost hate to say this, but if there's going to be a war with Russia, I'd rather see it now than later, because I'd rather see it now when the U.S. is financially, I know they say there's financial problems, but if there's a freaking collapse in the markets or something like that, and there's a currency collapse, and they back. Looks like we got some major events coming up here, but maybe it will turn out to be nothing. But it does portend what's going to come out in the future, even if this blows over right now, which is the crisis in the Ukraine. Because I talked about silver prices in a time of warfare, possibly with. Well, I always said if there's a war with Iran, I don't think it's going to be extremely long, because basically it's a no contest event. It would be, even though no matter what war happens, it's always bad. There's always bloodshed. There's always real freaking hard human suffering to the max. The American, if the United States was backing Israel or whatever, or if there was something that went on with Iran, it would be over pretty quick. It would be. And oil prices would skyrocket.